Hello! 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 And welcome to Sim.PC, where it right now is 16:51. Don't know if you've noticed, but I'm trying to do a bit of different intros just to, keep it all fresh. And today, mates, what a day it has been. I mean, first of all, hurt my knee. Not the best thing in the world. Second of all, kind of karma, I guess, in a way. The universe will try to balance itself out. One of my guitars just magically worked. It has been broken for I don't know, not broken, but it's been a bit wacky for the last, I'd say, 2 to 3 months. And yesterday I picked it up, played on it, and it just worked. Let me show you. Hallelujah! So if that wasn't awesome enough, I also had pizza for breakfast. I know you shouldn't have that, but I just thought, it's one of those days when I can do a bit whatever I want to do. And that is carrying over into today's episode, mates, because today we're gonna talk about nothing fancy and nothing smancy, but I'm just going to talk about things that bugs me. Why? Well, because I'm keeping them inside, and I'm thinking rather than having, a video recording session being something like, oh, I need to go and record, I need to set everything up, and I need to talk about something I'm not passionate about today, I need to talk about something I don't really care about today. Instead, I thought, why not take all of these things that I've been thinking about, that I'm filling me head with, right, over the last couple of weeks, and just bash them out so that I at least have them on tape, right? So I can at least review them myself if I so do want to. Now, thing that bugs me, number one. Well, my knee, because I hurt my knee. Yeah, big problems. Am I right? Second thing that bugs me is our thesis, because, wow, god damn it. I know we're gonna hand it in. I know we're gonna make it. I know we're going to be finished. But have you ever had one of those projects when you feel like you're so very close, even though you're far away? Like, for instance, 2 months ago, I thought, it's a week. It's a week and then it's gonna be handed in. I know it's like 3 months in advance, but it feels like it's only a week because the time in between feels relatively short in comparison to what it actually is. And right now we have, a month until it's supposed to be handed in, and I'm just like, wow, I'm going crazy. It's so little time. Why? Why do you think that? Haven't you started yet? Well, I do have started, but you're far away from being finished. No, I'm actually rather close. We just need to write the conclusion. So you have no reason at all to actually be stressed about this. Yeah, that's right about right. That sounds about right, yeah. But still, it doesn't matter, because every day I'm waking up with this sensation and this feeling in my stomach, and I feel like, wow, I need to give 100%. I want to work on this thing. I want to have it done. But all the time when I sit down, I just realize that most of it is already done, and the things that we haven't done is things that we can't do yet because we need some feedback on it before we actually move forward. Now, isn't that just the worst thing in the world? When you feel that you want to give a 110%, it's the same when I'm working sometimes, when I used to work, when I had to work, when I didn't do this on my spare time. Sometimes you just work, and you realize that you're done with everything that you have to do. Now, some people might be like, woohoo, mini vacation in the middle of your work time. I'm, on the other hand, is, the other way around. I'm thinking, wow, what more can I do? I feel unfulfilled. I'm getting paid for this. I want to work. Same thing kind of applies to the study things. I'm thinking that, wow, we have this enormous project which kind of, determines if I get to graduate or not, which is arguably, indespicably a really big deal now, isn't it? So I'm thinking I want to do something about it to actually progress this and get it a bit further in development, but we're not going to get stuck on that the entire day today. That's just one of my many issues that I'm going around thinking about that isn't really an issue. Now, moving on to another issue that isn't really an issue, and I know that many people are going to be so mad if they see this and hear that, wow, are you really complaining about choices? Because that's what we're getting into, mates. We're getting into choices. First choice, I can't really decide if I want to play the piano or if I want to play the drums, if I want to play the guitar, or if I want to play the violin or whatever. I have so many different instruments to, choose from, so I don't really know what I want to play right now. which is a big problem because I do feel that I want to pick up music more and more, but simultaneously I'm playing all of the different instruments. Let's say that I'm playing 1 hour of guitar, 1 hour of piano, 1 hour of drums, and so on and so forth. That's 4 hours a day, which is, well, it's not sustainable in the long run now, is it? Which means that I need to divide it over the course of different days, and if I have something else to do on that day, let's say, for instance, that I'm putting in unnecessary time into my, thesis because it's done, basically. But I'm still just sitting with it, the laptop open so that you feel that you're working while you in honest reality don't do anything. It's the same that when you're studying for an exam and you just have the book open and you're feeling like, wow, I've had the book open for 4 hours. I'm really great. Have you read the single page? Nope. I have not, but at least I've had it open, so now I can treat myself with a bit of a coffee. It's kind of that mentality that I'm having with the thesis at the moment. I know, have I mentioned that I'm writing a thesis? I think I've never mentioned it in any of my videos so far, right? But one of the problems is that I don't know what I want to focus on, and it feels like I should make a decision, take a stance and say I should put at least 50% of the time that I'm playing different instruments onto one instrument and distribute the other 50% over the other instruments that I do play. Which would mean that, for instance, I play 2 hours of guitar and just, split the rest evenly among the other instruments that I do have, which means that I would focus more on guitar, for instance, and that would be that. But I can't really come up with one instrument that I want to play, and if I do play the guitar, do I want to play the electric guitar, or do I want to play an acoustic guitar? There's so many choices, and moving on from many choices to other choices that are plentiful. What am I gonna do after graduation? Sure, I can go out and work, but I've also been accepted into a master's program, and I'm also going to be accepted into another master's program. I'm saying I'm going to, but I just assume that I will based on this second application process that I have going on right now into a different school, into a different program. And I've also been accepted into, well, based on how it goes with the graduation, I might say that's everything rides on that. But based on the assumption that I actually pass graduation, I've also been accepted into going back to France. So I have so many different things that I can do, right? Not that I need to do, but that I can do. Now, the positives with going to France is that I can still do the masters afterwards, right? I can do the masters when I come back. I can still work when I come back. The problem is that if I don't go to France right now, I do not think that I can go back there, right? So if I choose to do a masters in between, why would I go back to France? Maybe it's the first thought that pops up in my head because it's a double bachelor, and if I take a master's, why would I need a double bachelor for, right? Same train of thought though, if I go there, to France and then go back and take a master's directly afterwards, why did I go there in the first place and take a double bachelor if I could just have taken the master's directly and skipped 1 year of school? Now, I would argue and I'd say, it's a bit of an experience. You're going to France, you're going abroad, it's easier to, travel and stuff as well. You need to live. It's not about how much money you make during a lifetime and how much you work during your lifetime. It's about what you fill those years with, right? Not how long you live. So why not go to France in that aspect? And I can honestly not find a single reason for why I shouldn't. Simultaneously, if you think about, or rather contra this statement, if you think about my career and stuff, it might be better for the career if I just go for a master's and work instead. However, is it better if I work first and then take the master's? Or is it better if I take the master's and get into an internship through my master's and then get to work at the company? If I do get in the company, do I want to work at that company forever? Because that might be the case that if I got in through an internship, that might be that I'm kind of locked, in a sense, to that company, which means that I only can work within that company on different levels and not really progress as I want to. However, if I do take the master's first and not take the internship because I don't want to be caged, so to say, in a company, that might lead to the problem that I don't have any necessary or relevant working experience for actually going to a company that I do want to work at, which means that I will probably end up taking a job that I could have gotten after my bachelor's degree, which is, based on my prospects of finding a job right now, is probably basically the same as I could have gotten after high school. And then 5 years down the line after this sense, I could get the the work that I probably should have gotten after university and graduation. Why? Well, because then I would have had the necessary working experience so that I actually can take advantage of my degree. So the problem is then, should I just go work instead and then go back to school? But that also introduces the problem that if I do that, which arguably is the smartest thing, I can for once not go to France. Probably the same as if I take a master's. Second of all, will I go back? Because in Sweden, as of right now, we're getting support, kind of a grant in a way, from our government, and kind of a loan as well, but with basically no interest, of our government, saying that, well, if you study, we'll promote, we'll give you some money for studying, and studying in Sweden is free, so we don't have to pay the tuition fee, which is amazing, which is great. But that means I'm going to live on a very small amount of money each and every month. Would I be able to go back from my disposable income from my work? No matter which work I take, I'm probably getting a higher disposable income than I will get, a grant from the government. Because even though it's really high in some aspects, in some regards, in comparison to what you actually do here, it's really low in comparison to every single part, full-time job out there. Which means, would I actually go back and take a master's? What's the big deal if I don't take a master's? Is that really a big deal? I would argue that it is a big deal because I want a master's. Is it more because of a principle that I want a master's, or is it because, I want a master's to actually progress? I would argue that it is a master because I want to progress, but I don't really know, because I've always seen myself, as a master's student and maybe even a PhD. Now, does that really influence me in a big way? Is it really so that I'm applying for a master's because I just want to have a master's, or am I applying for a master if I do want to work with it? On the other hand, if I do know that I want to work with this master's degree, then why is it such a hard time deciding to begin with? Because if I knew that I want to work with this, then why don't I just apply to it? So my hesitation in that moment makes me feel like, well, maybe I don't want to work with this actually, and I just want to have the masters for the master's sake, which means that isn't it better to go to France to begin with and then have some time to think this all over? Push it a year, try, give it another year, which is all fine and dandy. So there are so many different aspects and so many different perspectives to keep in mind and to take into consideration when I'm discussing and thinking about what I'm going to do with my future and what I'm going to do with all of these things. So there are so many choices, which in so many ways is really good, that I'm allowed to have these choices, that I'm able to have these choices. I'm spoiled in choices, which isn't a bad thing. I can't stress that enough. It just makes me feel like there are so many great alternatives out there, so that's hard to evaluate which one's best for me and which one fits me the best, which one gives me the greatest development, which one gives me the greatest aspect of life, and so on and so forth. Simultaneously, another problem is that what if I meet someone in the future, right? What if I meet a girlfriend or a boyfriend for that matter? You shouldn't have a close perspective in the future, and I'm saying, I've worked for a while, now I'm gonna go back to school. Imagine the struggle there with the financial issue, one having an income and one not, because one is a student who's just, laying on the couch a good 72 hours a day. I don't know how that works, but it's probably gonna work in comparison to someone who's working a full-time job sustaining both of you. It's probably gonna be a problem, to say the least, right? Which also pushes the idea to whatever I'm gonna do, probably gonna study first, right? But that's yet again coming into the problem that what's about the relevant experience, right? But what if I take a master's degree and then I work on the side, because then I will gain the relevant the relevant experience simultaneously as I do study, which would be great, which would be amazing. But then you don't need to get that as well, which you probably do through an internship, right? If you've had an internship before, then you're probably going to be more likely to have a part-time job. However, I haven't found an internship for the autumn, which is also a big deal, because if I had an internship for the autumn, it would be no-brainer go to France, then try to get a part-time job through that agency or through that corporation, and then do that simultaneously as I'm doing my master's, and then probably have all the relevant working experience for applying for a job after my master's. Now that would be the best thing ever. That's currently not what it looks like. Probably gonna be like me being in school for an entire year as well, but in France, which is amazing in a way. I mean, I do not regret my time staying there. It's just that, well, I would have liked to have an internship. That would be nice, would be fine. Wow, we're moving away from that because we're not going to spend our entire time with that either, depending on how you say it. More choices, right? Another thing that I need to do is, well, rework my entire wardrobe. Why? Well, because for once I'm growing up taking graduation, yeah? Not only that, that's actually not what I'm saying, even though that isn't necessary. There is a need for that. But what I'm talking about is that in Sweden, spring it comes like that, just how? It takes like what, 5 seconds for spring to come in Sweden because it's winter, 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 winter. And then after like what, 5 seconds of sun, all the snow is gone and it's 25 degrees outside, which means that I need to rework my entire wardrobe, throw out all of the winter stuff, in with all of the summer stuff, and that will take an entire day. A day that I do feel as of in this moment that I can't actually spare. Why? Well, because I have all of these choices to think about. Now, can't you actually do a physical activity simultaneously as you think about it? Well, yeah, in a way, but maybe what if that was the reason why I hurt my knee? Because I was thinking about something while doing a physical activity. Maybe when I was at the gym, I wasn't, 100% in there. Maybe that's why I hurt my knee. And did I hurt my knee really? Oh, there's so many things to consider. Anyway, mate, this has been me rambling on for days and days, or it feels like that. Why? Well, because I need to fill this recording time with something, even though I had 6 different really good alternatives for this video. I know, and I stuck with this one. It's because I'm probably going to work through those during the week. But yeah, today was just, me freaking out about the future, so many choices, so many things to do. Not that I'm actually physically overwhelmed or psychologically overwhelmed at all, actually. I'm blessed in many ways, and there are many really good different alternatives that I can take into consideration and that I've been offered. The question is just, which one is the best? And does it really matter? Because if all of them are really good, does it really matter which, way I choose? They're all going to be really good, no matter which, right? So there are pros and cons to all of them, and I'm going to work those through. But I thought, it will be easier to work it through if I can listen to myself talk about it. And maybe some of you out there have the perfect, and I say perfect comment and the perfect perception or perspective on this matter, which just helps me, get clarity on my entire life and all the things I do. And I'm just like, wow, obviously that's what I'm gonna do, right? So I'm hoping, fingers crossed for that as well. But yeah, the thing that we've started doing as of late. That was everything for me today, mates. But I'm gonna leave you with this. Rather a psychological breakthrough on camera, on video that doesn't really happen, than a psychological breakthrough in a job interview. Have a nice one, mates, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.